Okay, thank you, Jacob Silva, for being here on the Karen Mitches podcast.
Thank you for having me. This is very fun. I'm going to seem like I'm not having fun, but I am.
Why are you going to seem like you're not having fun?
I'm low energy.
Are you always low energy?
Yeah.
And then you have a low voice.
I think I have a very high-pitched fat guy voice, so it's very kind of you to say that.
Is it? It's okay, maybe not.
Yeah, no, it goes up and down. I'm just tired now, so it might be a bit lower, but
okay.
I tend to be because I'm deaf in one ear, so I have no idea if I'm like monotone or anything.
Were you always deaf in one ear?
I think so. I remember bursting an eardrum as a kid, and my dad was like, "Well, we'll get that looked at," and then we never did.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of men are just missing hearing in one ear.
It's very common.
Yeah.
But then every time someone tries to talk to me, like someone will be talking to my ear for 4 minutes, and I'll be like, "Wait, like what?" And then they'll be like, "You're deaf," and I'm like, "Yeah," and they act like I'm like dying of cancer.
Oh shit.
It's like, no, you gotta talk to my other ear.
One time I was in a bar with my sister, and she was like trying to pick this guy up, and then she was like, "Oh my god, I think he's retarded," and I was like no, but then I was like asking his friends like, is there anything special about Patrick? And they're like, he had like recently lost his earring, but he was like embarrassed about it, like, so he was trying to fake that he could hear her, but he was just coming across as like mentally challenged.
That's so fun. It's the opposite for women, I guess, because like when guys are at a bar, they're like, "Is this a trans person?" And then girls, you're like, "Is this guy retarded?" That's so funny. Girls have to worry about a guy being retarded. We have to worry about them being men. That's so funny. I've told the story before. But Ben and I remember at Ben Albert, we were in Sudbury for a show, and we were at this club, and Ben and I were talking to these two girls, and I was talking to the hotter one, and I was like, it was going well. And then the hotter one and I like go to another part of the bar, and Ben turns to the girl and is like, "She's got to be trans, right? Like, does she have a cock?" And then the friend was like, "Ben, no, we don't use that word." He called her a tranny, and then she goes,
"Oh shit!"
He goes, "She's a fucking tranny, right?" And then the friend goes, "We don't use that word, Ben, but yes, she has a cock." And Ben came running to me, and he was like, "Watch out, dude, she's got a dick." And I was like, "Yeah, that doesn't bother me. She's hot." I was like, "Yeah, let me have this one, man."
Can you tilt that light a little bit onto you?
Like here?
Yeah, it's just like in my eyes.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
There, yeah.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
But yeah, I like that didn't faze you.
No, I wasn't. Here's the thing though, I knew we didn't have a hotel. I was crashing on one of his friends' couches, so I was like, I'm not having sex regardless. Like, worst case scenario, like we'll just make out or something.
Yeah.
It's my opinion is if they look like a chick, they're a chick.
Yeah.
And that might come off transphobic, but also like I feel like it's insulting to women when it's like a guy just wears a dress and calls himself a woman. It's like, no, you gotta
put some effort.
Yeah, if you look like, for me, it's like if I meet, like, I know a lot of people that have transitioned, and I struggle to like not call them their old name, whatever.
Yeah.
But if I meet a trans person and like when I met them, they're trans, identify as a woman, like they're a woman to me. It's just, you got to put effort in.
Yeah.
You gotta, like I have a mother and a sister. Like I know what it's like for them to like grow up and the trials and tribulations of like hitting puberty and getting your first period and it's like you can't just like throw makeup on you. You can't be 300 pounds, a 300-pound bearded guy and wear a dress and go, "I'm a woman now." It's like, no, put effort. Like, I even know trans women that are, like, gorgeous and they put a lot of work in. It's like, do the fucking work.
I feel like a lot of straight guys think, like, women have it easy because they just think of, like, hot women. They're like, if I was a woman, that's what my life would be. And it's like, if you were hot and rich, it wouldn't matter what gender you were. Like, you'd be having a great life. But, like, if you're suddenly a woman, you're not necessarily going to be hot.
I mean, I feel like young women, if they're hot, have like the best life ever. Like we were talking about Dan Soder earlier. He has a bit about hot girls and when they're like in their 20s, like a hot girl can just be like, "I want to be on a boat," and then they're on a boat. So it's like there is an easier way, but it does not last long, and then it's also like a fall from grace that's very hard. Like,
yeah,
as I'm growing up and I'm watching like It was funny because in high school they always used to tell us in school, they always used to tell us like, don't be mean to this girl because she's gonna be hot one day. Like, don't ever call a girl ugly because she'll be hot one day and you'll want to date her. And it's just funny being an adult now where it's like those ugly girls that became hot are now getting ugly. And it's like watch the rise and fall, and it's quite nice to see. But no, I'd say if like being a young like if in your early 20s and mid 20s, it's better to be a hot girl. But after that, it's not.
You do also need a certain amount of confidence to pull it off. Like there's definitely women who like are hot, young, they know they're hot, they get stuff out of it, and they save their money, and those people like win at life. But like there are hot girls who are just don't know they're hot till they're not hot.
Yeah.
And there's just people who wouldn't have the kind of like audacity to profit from it.
It's honestly, it's like you just get an opportunity that's so wonderful, and if you don't take it, like I know girls that are attractive and they're broke and they're like, I'm like, go get a service job, like a waitressing job, and they're like, no. And it's like, you will make so much fucking money. It's insane. Yeah. Like I remember when I used to be friends with Gigi, she'd be like, oh, I have to go work. I don't want to work. And I'd be like, well, how long is your shift? She's like, it's 4 hours. And then I would see her after, and she's like, I made $500 in tips. And she worked at some grunt, like
Gigi is a rare, good-looking and very confident woman.
Yes.
Like she has like a man's confidence in a hot girl body. Like that's a gift.
Yeah, I just couldn't, because she didn't even work at like a fancy restaurant. She worked at some shitty pub on Bloor and Bathurst. And she'd go work she'd go work a 4-hour brunch shift and come home with $500 and be like, I'm broke. And it's like, fuck you. You just made my week's salary.
Have you seen the Martha Stewart biography
No, I heard it's really good though.
It's so good. And she was like a rare, like she didn't exactly, okay, so she was young and really good looking, and she started modeling, and she wasn't a supermodel, but she was making some money. And then she went to university, and at school, a girl at her school was like, my brother's a student at Harvard Yale. Can I give him your number? Because she's the best looking girl on her whole campus. So that kind of shit happens to her. She gives the guy her number. She ends up with like a tremendously rich husband. Then from there, she ends up working on Wall Street when she realizes, like through his connections.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a bit of a jump there.
Yeah, when she doesn't like working on Wall Street, then she just starts being like an Uber housewife, but she's doing all this decorating, and her husband has gone into publishing. So then she uses his publishing connections to like start publishing cookbooks, and that's like the beginning of her empire. So it's not like she just got rich through her hotness and then sat around like getting, wasting her life. Like she actually still used her talents and found out what she wanted to do, but she used like the connections she got through being a hot girl.
Well, it's like everyone shit talks Kim Kardashian, but she turned a blowjob into a $1 billion empire. It's there's outliers out there. Even if like when it comes to just being a whore, there's outliers who are gonna be incredible and use their opportunity. Like Kim Kardashian, the whole family is incredible. Yeah. Like you can say what you want about them. And also I was talking to Ben, my roommate, about this. Because we're talking about, have you seen like Zach Bryan and his girlfriend? They're having like this whole like beef.
Okay, I know who Zach Bryan is, but I don't know his girlfriend or the drama around him.
Brianna, she's like she's just a social media influencer who works at Barstool. So she was kind of famous for when they met. Yeah. But Zach apparently is a piece of shit and offered her like $12 million to sign an NDA when they broke up. And she didn't take it, and everyone's like, good for you, whatever, you poor victim. But it's like, she also left her current boyfriend to be with him. And I forget what I was bringing them up. But she's just also not a good person either. And they both benefited from their relationship. They both blew up even bigger together. Yeah. So it's like, he was a piece of shit country artist. Like, you knew what you were getting into. It's like, he had 4 girlfriends, like, in 2 years, like, major girl. Like, he left, his wife was in the military, and he sent her divorce papers. And then went on tour and, like, started dating other women and cheated. And she's like, oh, it turned out he's such a terrible guy. It's like, you know what you're getting from it, but I forget why I was bringing this up.
Because you and Ben were talking about
Kim Kardashian
making money, being smart.
Well, it's like, yeah, so everyone's like telling her like, oh, why didn't you like oh, poor her, everything. It's like, yeah, she's not loyal. They dated for a year and a half, and he was a piece of shit. It's like, look at Kim Kardashian. She spent like 10 years with Kanye West. Yeah. Like, she stuck out for like some of the worst parts of Kanye because she's a good woman, and also she's a great business woman.
Yeah.
And also a porn star.
I feel like she really loved Kanye. She had 4 of his children.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she was deeply... But that's to me is like, once you get all the success, like the guy you get with your success, and hers was Kanye, and she was probably hopeful that he'd maintain his mental health, and he didn't.
Yeah, no. Well, to be fair, when did they get divorced? It was like 2020? Was during the pandemic? Because he had his big mental health breakdown in 2016. I remember that. But like, she stayed around for a long time, and they were friends. Like, she had gotten married to 2 other guys when they were like, he was in love with her before she married 2 other guys, and he stuck around. And then like, he also left Amber Rose to be with her. So it's like Kanye, and Kanye does love her too. It just like, I was giving the example where it's like this Brianna girl. It's like, yeah, you knew you were dating a piece of shit, and it was a year and a half, and you're acting like this big victim. Kim Kardashian's never once complained about being married to Kanye West. Like, she's still a good mother, doesn't talk shit about him publicly because it's the father of her children.
Okay, so one thing that I want to be sensitive to this girl, because I think if I had the opportunity when I was young to sort of like marry anyone, I definitely would have married like a really dumb musician.
Yeah.
Like somebody who writes great love songs. I'd be like, oh, he's so deep, and like he's just gonna write them for me, and then you'd be stuck and like sucked into all that drama.
You know, it was her favorite musician was him, and then she went to his concert, and he does this whole thing where he has this song called Revival, where it's like, it's his closer, and he brings celebrities out on stage with him no matter what city they're in, and they sing the song. So she went on with another guy that she does her podcast with, and her boyfriend was at that concert too, and they met, and then a week later she was broken up with her boyfriend, and they were together dating. And everyone kind of ignores that.
Yeah.
And their entire relationship, like, he's been getting dragged in the mud their entire relationship. Like, everyone knows he's a dirtbag.
So she could have taken $12 million to sign the NDA.
Yeah, and she didn't.
What did he do to her that she wanted to tell people?
He was just a shitty, jealous boyfriend. Like, he yelled, like, one of her stories, she was like crying for like an hour on a video, being like, get ready for this podcast. It's deep, it's dark, it's emotional. And then one of her stories was he got mad that she was dressed all hot at the Golden Globes, and like got mad at her. And it's like, yeah, it's a jealous boyfriend. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's like, did he ever lay his hands on you? No. It's like, all right. You got offered $12 million because he didn't want you to have your fake tits out at the Golden Globes. And then another thing was he yelled at her once because she was listening to Morgan Wallen, like another country artist. Do you know how many comics I know that if they're dating another female comic or any girl, and if that girl laughs at another joke, they go insane? It's like, yeah, you don't get $12 million though.
Can you later, when we're not on camera, like write those names down for me?
Oh yeah, the artists or the comedians?
People I want to avoid.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Well, stay away from any comic. You don't want to. Comics are the most mentally ill people ever. No, there's not one comic. There's like 2 comic relationships that have ever been successful, and it's Bonnie McFarlane and Rich Voss, and maybe like Moshe Katcher and what's her name, Natasha Leggero. Every other, like, even down to like open mics, like the amount of relationships I've seen, and then next thing you know, the male comic shaved his head and moved to Vancouver, and like it's just it's nuts. Like, just stay away from comics. But her to complain about getting offered $12 million to keep quiet about it, like an insanely talented artist who's also 27.
Zach Bryan's 27.
They're like in their late 20s.
Shit.
So it's like,
I've never like seen that guy, but his songs seem much older. That's amazing.
oh, he's so good. It's like, yeah, he's a piece of shit. Like, there's artists are pieces of shit, and it's like and most people they date. Like, the funny thing was, there was this girl, one of his ex-girlfriends went viral during all this because she posted a TikTok being like, holy fuck, you got $12 million and I did it for free. I stayed quiet for free when you got offered $12 million.
Yeah.
And it's like,
because most people don't go into the details, even if, you're just like, yeah, it doesn't really help to let strangers know the minutia of what went wrong.
What's also
the details of it.
What's crazy about this too is that it's so 2 weeks ago, before all this happened, she was getting dragged in the mud because she was a piece of shit to her best friend, who this girl named Grace O'Malley, that they do a podcast, and they've been childhood friends. Grace does stand up in New York, and they have the podcast, and they all work for Barstool. And she got like dragged through the mud for being a piece of shit to Grace because she basically forced Grace to talk about being raped as a teenager on like some trip they went
Oh
on,
my God.
and, like on a podcast, and like it was so horrible. And then so she was getting dragged through the mud, and then a week later they break up, and she's like, Zach was so terrible to me. She ruined my friendship. It's like, no, you openly brought up your friend getting assaulted on a trip by a 35-year-old when you were 17, forced her to talk about it on a podcast for comedic value.
Oh my God.
And it's like, and now you're like, she's like not a good person either.
Yeah.
So it's the most toxic relationship. It's like, it's every toxic relationship actually,
Yeah.
where they're both going, oh, this person's a piece of shit. It's like, you're both nuts. We've all known that both of you are not good people. Good people don't find good people, and then bad people always find bad people in relationships. You never see like a good person and another. It's a piece of shit finds a piece of shit, and they're a piece of shit couple together. We've known the entire time they were dating that they were both pieces of shit, and we enjoyed the music. They were cute together, and look what happened. They were both being pieces of shit to each other. And then where's he getting? He's not getting offered $12 million to not talk about how much of a crazy bitch she is. She gets $12 million to not talk about him being a psychopath. It's like, well, what's he getting out of this?
Okay, can I ask you, like, do you have a tendency towards toxic relationships?
I've never had a relationship last more than like 3 months.
Do you think you're the...
I'm definitely the problem. Yeah, no, it's definitely me. I would always say it's me. The last one I would say it was her, but we also started dating 2 weeks after she got out of a 7-year relationship.
Oh my.
And I thought it was going well. We weren't boyfriend or girlfriend, but like it was like 3 months of us like dating and stuff. And she was not a good person. And all of our mutual friends told me she was not a good person. And then I ignored it.
Did you think they were lying at the time?
Well, so the thing is, a friend of mine's girlfriend went to high school with her.
Yeah.
And she always had nice things to say. But then her friend would be like, oh, that girl? Yeah, she's a fucking twat. Like, stay away from her.
So there was like a mixed review.
There was a mixed review. I mean, everyone was kind of just happy for me, so they didn't really say much. But, like, she was not, like, the best communicator. And the way she broke up with me was so funny, too. This is, like, I still defended her after, like, I would tell people this is how we broke up or stopped talking to each other, and they'd be like, what a cunt. And I'd be like, no, she's a sweetheart. She's troubled. We had plans to go on a triple date with 2 other couples to the CNE, and the day of, she texted me and she was like, I can't go. And I was like, okay. She's like, oh, so can we talk? And I was like, okay. And she's like, I'll call you.
Oh no.
And I waited an hour for her to call me, and I was like, okay, can you just text me what you have to say, because this is ridiculous? And she's like, yeah, okay. And then she spent like 30 minutes typing, and then was just like, yeah, I can't see you anymore. I didn't expect us to like start dating so quickly. I just wanted to go on a date with you because you seem like a nice guy. And then we started like getting serious, and I was like, and then I'm telling people this, and they're like, she's fucking terrible. She didn't have the decency to like tell you to your face. I was like, she didn't have the decency to call me. I made her text me because I knew for like 3 hours like what was happening. I was like, just get it out so I can go make a new Tinder or something. But I still defended her for like a year. And then this is what we would do. Her and I would talk during the week. We'd make plans to see each other, and she wouldn't show up. She would ditch me. And I did this like once a month for a year after.
Oh no.
Yeah. And then it wasn't until like April I blocked her, and then I unblocked her. Like I unblock her like every 4 months, and I message her and we talk and we make plans. and then my friends would be like, why are you doing that? I'm like, I'm lonely. It's like, she was out of my league. I want to have sex with her.
Shit.
Very attractive, but the sex was bad. It was because she had dated the same guy like right out of college or high school.
Yeah.
And while we would have sex, like, listen, she was tiny. She was a tiny frame, and I'm a big guy, so there is like a mismatch there. But certain things that would happen, and I'd be like, oh no, you poor thing, like, you've never had like. This is gonna sound like, you can tell she'd never made love. Like, her boyfriend was just fucking her for like 7 years.
Aww.
And it was like, oh no, you poor thing. Like, I remember I gave her like, this is a bit graphic, but I gave her, she had like an orgasm before like I even like got hard. Like, I was just giving her head, and she was like, oh my God, that was wonderful. And I was like, just chilling. She's like, she's like, okay, what's next? I was like, I'm cool with just this. Like, she's like, oh, and then there was like an awkward moment. I was like, we can have sex, but I was just giving you head. Like, it was always like that. Like, I would give her head, and she'd be like, okay, I'm ready for you to like throw me around. I'd be like, I'm not like that at all. I learned how to have sex with a lesbian.
Oh.
And so I've had other girls tell me I have sex like a lesbian.
That's amazing. Was this your high school girlfriend?
I never had a girlfriend in high school. Lost my virginity at 20.
Yes.
I'm not going to give full details in case my mother listens to this, but first person I had regular sex with was a lesbian. And
but she didn't know at the time.
No, she knew.
Okay.
Her name was Tyler, and she went to York, and she had an apartment, and this was during COVID, so I moved back home to Montreal during COVID, but I still had my apartment, so I'd come once a month and like.
Are you still under 25?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm 24 still. Turning 25 in December, but yeah, it was during COVID. I had gone here to Humber for school, but I still had my apartment, so I'd come once a month and like grab shit, but I would spend the weekend having sex with this girl. So like for like 3-4 months.
So would it be more accurate to say she's bisexual?
Let's get to that. We'll get there in a moment. But I would say she was maybe bisexual, maybe not. I think she was a lesbian, honestly. Like it just she didn't like sucking dick, but she liked everything else. It was a very wild person to start having sex with, like learning how to have sex, because it was like the first time we hooked up, she goes, I have a roommate. We can have sex in the summer. When my roommate's back, we gotta not have. I can't have like guys over. And
was her roommate a girl?
We'll keep going. Okay, this is the end of this. We'll get to the end of the story about that one. We'll get back to that. But so we started having sex, and this is how dumb I was. I was so new to like seeing girls and dating girls, because I had no confidence until I started doing comedy. And then I met a girl when I went to Humber and started doing comedy, and she was very attractive. She was like the hot girl of the program, and that didn't end so well because I didn't.
So were you like the best guy in your program, comedy wise, at Humber?
No, I would say there was definitely people who were more formed. I was just more like I was more offensive and like didn't play safe, so it came off as like I was like more like in tune. I had already done comedy classes, so I guess you can say like when we started, I had more stage practice, but there was definitely better people. Like Ada Nicole was in my first year. Evan Klim, they're very good. And then when I went back to Humber, I took a year off. When I went back, I was with Ben Bayfield. So Ben Bayfield was really good. And then there's not like in the 3 years I've done I did Humber, there's only like 3 or 4 of us that still do comedy.
Okay. I'm just saying, if you were dating like the hottest girl in your program, it stands to reason you were
she thought I was the best one, I would say.
Nice.
And she would tell me that, and then that would inflate my ego. And if you ask anyone that I went to Humber with, they hate my guts because of that, I would say. And they also hate because I didn't know how to process emotions. So when her and I would fight, I didn't know how to like process emotions. It was I had a lot of shit going on at the same time, and I would take it out on her. And it wasn't like I loved her to death. We were kind of friends, but also not. And then we had like a big fight when I was leaving and to go home for the pandemic and for lockdown. And I did not handle it the best. And we haven't talked in 5 years. We bumped into each other twice. It's been extremely awkward.
Was this like you said things you couldn't take back?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Weren't things?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I told her family, not even her family loved her, which was kind of true. Based off the information that she gave me, but no one ever has my side on that. It's like I only had that assumption because she told me that, and then that was more the main thing. I don't remember what else I said. I feel bad about it to this day. Like I think about it all the time because it wasn't. I was taking my anger out on her, and she was 18, I was 19, 20, so it was like she was not a good person because she was an 18-year-old hot girl. They're mean. It's just nature. And then I was first time having a relationship kind of thing, and I didn't know how to process emotions. So it was just a cocktail of disaster. But
Okay, so I feel like we jumped around a bit and
Yes.
now we're confused. So there was the girl you were dating at Humber and then things didn't work out with her.
yes.
And then you were coming back to Toronto regularly and that's when you were seeing Tyler.
Tyler.
You were going to tell me something about
Oh yeah, Tyler the
her.
lesbian. So we the first time we hung out, I picked her up in my car, and it was like 10 o'clock, and I was like, oh, let's like go for a drive, and she lived like in North York, so we drove to the CN Tower, and just talked for 3 hours, and then we started making out the CN Tower, and I was like, where do you want to go? She's like, just go back to my place, and I was like, okay. She's like, we didn't have to drive. I thought you were just gonna come in and like we'd have sex, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that's what you want. I thought like
Yeah.
we'd have to have like a date or something. So we go in and we start like doing stuff, and she's like, you're doing everything wrong. And I was like, yeah, I bet I don't know what I'm doing. So she's like showed me how to do like how to finger, how to give like how to eat pussy, like she taught me how to give hickeys. Like my first kiss ever was the girl I dated at Humber.
Amazing.
Our first, like, we went to Humber night at Yuck Yucks, and then I was dropping her off at her dorm, and I was like, do you want to go to Niagara Falls? And she was like, sure. And then we went to Niagara Falls, and that was my first kiss was at Niagara Falls.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It wasn't, because then on the way back, she was like, I just want to let you know I'm fucking someone at the dorms, and his name's Jacob, too. So then the next day I went to class, and everyone was like, yeah, Jacob fucked Jocelyn. So, cut that out. Can you cut?
Yeah.
Jacob fucked so-and-so. Isn't that great? Yo, Jake, you fucked so-and-so. And I was like, other Jacob.
Oh.
I think it's funny. And then
We're laughing about it now.
I kind of tried to laugh at it at the time. I was like, no, that's the other Jacob. Good for him. So Tyler taught me how to do everything, and then I just learned how to have sex that way. And I was so like vanilla, and then she would be like, hit me. And I was like, I don't know how to like. So I just gave her love taps, and then we got more and more comfortable. By the end of the summer, I was full on punching her in the face. No, I'm joking. That was a bad joke. That joke wasn't funny when I was 20. It's not funny now. But no. So yeah, and she was like, choke me, and I didn't know how to choke, so I just started fucking choking her, and she was like, no, you're gonna break my fucking neck. I was like, how do I do it? She was like, just pinch, and I was like, oh, okay. So she taught me how to do everything, and now I have sex like a lesbian because it's very like, not so much penetration, which works in my favor because I'm fat. So
How does that play in logistically?
Do you mean like what do I do? Like,
are you just on the bottom?
no, I'm on top. Top game. Like what's his name that beat up Conor McGregor? I'm like a Georgian fight. I'm like a Kazakhstanian or wherever where the fuck are all those dirty Russians from? What's that part of Russia that's like not
Chechnya?
Chechnya? Yeah, I'm like a Chechen UFC fighter. I control from the top, but it's all ground game.
If you want to confuse me, use sports references.
What would be a good?
It's okay. I know. I got it.
It's giving Samantha from Sex and the City. I don't know. Samantha, who's the lesbian in Sex and the City?
Samantha?
I don't know. I was trying to give a reference that my mom would know too.
Oh no.
But no,
I am old enough to be your mom without it being
Yes.
even like that I had a kid in high school.
no, there's no way.
I thought we established this. You're like 19 years younger than me.
Yeah, if you had me at 19, that would have been bad. To be fair, my mom had my brother at 24, so it's not that you're probably
Yeah.
right. Yeah, you probably could be.
So like, how old's your mom?
58.
Okay. So I'm 43. No, I'm 44. How old am I?
Yeah.
1980. So I'm like in your mother's peer group. Not quite.
No, she graduated high school in 84, so I think you're fine.
Yeah.
You're not that old, Karen. Don't worry about it. I think if you
But
have
I'm closer to her age than to your age.
Yeah, definitely. No, you're right in the middle. No, 14. Never mind. Yeah, I'm bad at math. If you had Izzy on, I think.
Yes.
But his
Izzy
family's
and Mo could be my kids.
definitely Mo. I think Izzy has older Jewish parents, like they had them way younger.
Yeah.
So he has like his parents are like my parents' age. Mo for sure. His mom's like a 36-year-old, fresh off the boat, came here for a purpose. But no, so Tyler. So I learned how to have sex with her. Definitely a lesbian, and I figured this out because she had originally told me at the beginning of all of it. She's like, I have a roommate. We gotta when my roommate's back from planting trees in Alberta.
That's the lesbian summer job of choice.
Oh yeah, this is the best part. She goes, so we can't do anything anymore. And then like September hit and she blocked me on Snapchat. and I was like, oh, why'd she block me? I thought we had whatever. And then I remembered, oh yeah, the deal. Her roommate's back. And then I remembered it was a 1-bedroom apartment.
Oh.
I was like, oh yeah, I was the other person, and that felt really cool.
You didn't feel guilty at all?
No, because first time in my life I could be like, how does my dildo taste? Because we use dildos and stuff. She's a lesbian. She was wild. This is another thing too. I hated being at her place though, because she had like 2 pet snakes and like a lizard. So in her room it was just like 1,000,000,000 degrees.
Yeah.
And then I would like hear a snake hitting the glass as we were having sex. Hated it. I don't want to be. Yeah.
I really don't like when people have weird pets. Like I'm not. Yeah.
Anything.
I don't want to be squeamish, but I don't like hamsters, lizards, snakes.
No, I can't handle rodents. It's like I used to have a pet bunny, but I was younger. It was my brother's. We saved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I can't handle like rodents or anything like you can't communicate with. I don't like.
Yeah.
A cat you can communicate. A dog you can. Like even like I've had fish, but like I love fish. So like I've had like fighter fish that I was communicating with, and like I would go up to its tank and it would like I used to have a fighter fish in college. It was my best friend. His name was Hirohito. And
he was your best friend.
He was my best friend because I fell out with all my friends in the apartment. And then all my roommates moved out for the summer, and I was still there. So for 3 months, I was just friends with this fish in my apartment.
Named Hirohito?
Hirohito, after the former leader of Japan. Emperor of Japan, sorry. And ironically, he died the same day that Shinzo Abe got killed.
Was he the one that was shot?
Yes. My fighter fish was very outspoken about supporting Taiwan, and I think it was the same guy did it. It wasn't. I killed him. I washed his bowl and left bleach in, and then he died of poisoning. But Hirohito, I would eat dinner because he was on my dining room table. So every time I would eat dinner, he would like swim to my part where I was at the table and would like look at me, and I'd be like, hi, and I'd give him a little bit of food. He was my best friend for like 3 months. That was a rough time. I was doing a lot of drugs and drinking. Yeah,
that sounds like a rough time. Can I ask what you did? What caused you to be alienated from your friends?
I was too funny. I was older than them, and I was a comedian, and they all had an issue of me being fucking hilarious.
By hilarious, do you mean verbally abusive?
No, like they would get mad because I used to call my roommate Chase gay, and Chase is now a openly gay person. I used to be like, Chase is a homosexual. They're like, you're fucked up. He's just a Christian weirdo. I'm like, no, he's 100% gay. He stares at me when I'm like coming out of the shower. Like him and I have very gay conversations where we're both shirts off, and he was like a ripped like 18-year-old super Christian kid from Victoria, and like he was ripped, and I'm fat and hairy, and him and I would stare at each other because I'd be like, nice body, like respect, and he would be like, oh my god, fuck me, I need dick, I'm closeted gay guy. No, they just got mad at like my jokes and stuff. But then here's the funny thing. I spent 2 years like thinking I was in the wrong, and then I reconnected with a couple of them, and they all admitted that they were overreacting and that they kind of like blackmailed me on behalf of this one person that hated me. So I have a bit of a redemption arc.
So like someone in the group kind of poisoned them against you.
So this is like, yeah, because this is a fun thing about.
Who in the group hated you?
It was so a couple of them. So what happened was I slept with, it was the girls across the hall. There was 5 of them, 4 rooms, then 5 of them in total because I started dating one of them, and then she was like not a good person. So we broke up, and then they kind of bullied her out, got her out, and the girl that replaced her, I started having sex with her, and then she was a very mentally ill girl. Extremely mentally ill. I'm not, without giving detail, I'm right in saying that because she had some shit going on in her life. I did not know this. I got drunk on my birthday, and then apparently we had made out. So then we started having sex. Loosely saying she assaulted me on my birthday. I was blackout drunk, and but then we started having consensual sex, and then the second time we did it, the next day, she was full blown in love with me, like obsessed. And then I went home for Christmas, and then got COVID. So I was gone for 3 weeks when I was supposed to be gone for 5 days.
Yeah.
And then I came back, and while I was gone, she was like nonstop messaging me. And I'm like a person where like you get 2 text messages out of me and then you got to leave me alone.
Yeah.
I don't like talking to people. Like I prefer a phone call. I don't like texting.
Yeah.
So like I just started ignoring, and then she went apeshit. And then the next time I saw her after those 3 weeks, she knocked on my apartment door when me and my roommate Chase had girls over, and she opened the door, and I was sitting on a couch with like other girls that lived in the apartment. And we were just hanging out. Like we weren't like doing anything. We were just all hanging out talking, and she like went apeshit. And then it was just 2-3 months of like, I'm a piece of shit, I'm not a piece of shit. She started telling everyone that I had a tiny dick. So then I started having.
Do you have a tiny dick?
I have an all right one. It's just I'm fat. So if I'm tired, it's not, you're not getting anything out of it. And so she told everyone I had a tiny dick, and I was like, I know it's not. I was like, how dare you? So I started having sex with her again, so that I could get. Basically, I got her to call me daddy while we were having sex, so that I could tell all of our friends that she calls me daddy in bed and like loves my dick. That was, and then I brought that up, and so then that was like kind of the last straw, because I brought that up in front of everyone. She was doing tarot card readings, and I was like, she was doing tarot card readings. This is so funny too. She literally, my tarot card reading was, like clown, kindness, and success. I don't know how those equated, but essentially it was, if you're nice, you will make it in comedy.
Yeah.
And that was like 3 years ago, and my career's in the toilet right now because I'm a piece of shit to people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it was foreshadowing I should listen to. But I basically brought up that she had called me daddy in bed after she told everyone that I had a small dick. And then she brought up again that I had a small dick to everyone, and I went, well, you have a loose gaping asshole. Which was definitely not cool, but she also initiated and instigated it.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, it was a group of girls. They're gonna talk about that stuff. I shouldn't have reacted so much. I've learned that, but that
led to you being pushed out of the group.
That, and then the overriding moment was because one of the girls that lived with us and the girls in our friend group, they were a lesbian couple, and one of them who lived across the hall cheated on our friend. So then the friend came over to my place and was crying, and I was consoling her all night, telling her that like, yeah, the person that cheated on you is a piece of shit. Like, I've always known this. Like, don't go back to them, whatever. And then she left to go home. And then the next day I woke up and I looked because on Snapchat, there's like a map of like where you see all your friends. Mm-hmm. And that friend was still in our apartment building. And I was like, oh no. And I went on Instagram. Everyone had blocked me, like in our friend group, because basically what happened was that my friend left my apartment after I told her our other friend's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
She went to the other apartment and was like, you know what Jacob just said? He said you're a fucking piece of shit. Oh. And then they all got together and was like, yeah, fuck Jacob. So they all blocked me on everything. And then
and that's when you had this summer with Hirohito as your only friend.
Yes. And honestly, Hirohito was a good friend, and I miss him. But I got back into the friend group. They all had, there was tons of jubilation when I got back to the group. When we all reunited, everyone was excited about it. That girl though, we did start hooking up again this summer, and last weekend I blocked her on everything because she went apeshit again.
Wait, this is the mentally ill one?
Yes, the one I was sleeping with. She I don't know. She's like, her and I get along, but then she like has mood changes, and like, so she'll be like it was literally such a ridiculous conversation because I asked her, I was like, "Are you up?" And she was like, "No, I don't want to have sex with you anymore." And then she's like, I was like, "Okay, I don't know why you're like being so like, the last 2 times I've asked you if you want to hang out, you've gotten mad at me." And it was literally like I asked her 2 weekends in a row, and then before that it was 6 weekends of her asking me what I was doing and me being like, I'm working, I'm out of town. Yeah. So she had asked me like 6 times in a row. Yeah. I had legitimate reasons, and then she was going like, oh, I don't want to have sex with you anymore. And I was like, okay, I don't know why like you're getting mad about this, just tell me. And then she goes, yeah, I'm sober now, so I don't want to have sex with you. And I was like, so I replied, oh, you were drinking, you were shit-faced at 3:30 in the afternoon on a Tuesday when you asked me to come over because your parents were out of town and you wanted me to come over. Oh, you were shit-faced at work? You work at a fucking synagogue. She's a secretary at a synagogue. She's like the head Jew of the synagogue's I don't know what the term is. Whoever's like, it's whatever the high priest is of a church. It's the Jewish one. And she's like,
is it the cantor?
The cantor, yes. So she's a secretary for a cantor of like a huge synagogue in North York, and she's at 3:30 saying, "What are you doing tonight?" And she was shit faced. Yeah, okay, no, you can't handle rejection.
She was drunk with horniness.
It was insane. I immediately was like, I know where this is going, because every time her and I have had a fight, she rewrites history. And it's like, there's no way to rewrite history when we have text messages. I've never deleted a text message in my life.
Oh my God.
I have conversations from 10 years ago because my mom does this. My mom taught me this because my mom has documents for her work. Anytime someone says something fucked up, she goes into a folder, screenshots it, or puts it into a note tab, puts it in a folder. And then every single project she does for her work, she has like who did what, who said what, and then anytime someone accuses her of something, she can go like 10 years ago, be like, so and so, yeah, because she gets fucked over for work. She's in a very misogynistic industry, so she's in logistics. So she has backups for every single thing. So
what logistics for what kind of industry?
Like logistics, like in general, like she works for like she's worked for a company called Deutsche Bahn, which is like the biggest train company in Germany, and she like, it's basically like her job is like when a customer like Apple, for example, wants to start shipping with their company, she helps set up the software for them. So like Apple needs to like send 1 million iPhones to America. She sets up the software for them to send it from the factory to America.
That's very cool.
It's a very interesting industry, and she's very good at it, but she's extremely underpaid. And she's been doing it for like 30 years. And so she backs everything up. 'Cause she's also had like, I've heard her on the phone with bosses before, and she works international. So she'll have like this boss that's like a Dutch guy who's like very misogynistic and talks down to her, favors older men. So she backs everything up because this guy's tried to get her in shit before, and she had like proof.
Yeah.
So I've learned that I keep every text message. So if you pull bullshit on me, all I have to do now with the new updates, the new iOS, is just search a keyword from a conversation we had, and I'll find it in a minute.
Jacob has receipts.
I do. It's ridiculous how people act like we don't have proof. It's so easy to find it. Like, and this is the crazy thing. I have an amazing memory for bullshit. I remember conversations verbatim, so I can remember when I had a certain conversation with someone, searching a keyword and finding that conversation. I remember, like, if I'm blackout drunk, I remember every conversation I had. I have no control over my body. Like, if I'm drinking a lot, I can remember verbatim everything we had in a conversation, but I have no control over what I'm saying, what I'm doing. But I can remember everything. I just have this weird memory of remembering useless stuff, like dumb conversations. So I can pull up anything.
Fuck.
I might be a psychopath, though. I think I'm crazy.
I don't think you're a psychopath, though.
Sociopath?
But there's something weird where you like... Okay, it's something with like... You can be right on the face of something and then be wrong in like the generality of it.
How do you mean, like?
Like, you'll be like, so-and-so is a bad person just a few too many times where I'm like, I feel like you're like coming down like the letter of the law on people.
That is true.
But then it's like, there's a more global way to like perceive people, and there may be just like some level of like
I'm very emotional, so I tend to go at people very easily. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know. Do
you feel like you have compassion for yourself? Like, if you make a mistake, are you like, I'm an idiot?
Yes. I would say so. I think in terms of comedy, like if I fuck up, like it really eats away at me. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like if I fuck a friend over, or I feel kind of bad. If I fuck, like if someone tells me a secret and I let it out, like, also don't tell me secrets. I fucked over a certain a roommate, one of my roommates I fucked over recently, and he was like getting mad, and I was like, you can either tell me a secret or you can post on Facebook. It's either or. I'm gonna let secrets out. But I did feel bad, like when it blew back on him. I did feel bad, and I still do.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But like, this is like, because I had to go to rehab for drinking, and it's like a big part in like addiction to have like a positive self-talk and like,
Yeah.
but it's like it's an easy thing to learn too.
Are you saying like just calling myself a good person?
It's like when something goes wrong, like preventing yourself from beating up on yourself and trying to have like a more balanced thought where you can be like, okay, like I made a mistake, but like everyone makes mistakes. And then you have like more compassionate way of communicating with yourself. So that's important for addiction. But then I think like if you're very like aggressive with other people and writing them off, it may be that like once you have more compassion for yourself, then you'll see them in that light.
I just have no patience for people. So if you piss me off, I can I'm such a loner, and I'm happy being a loner. Like having friends is a new concept to me. Like it's something that started when I was like 21, 22. Like I've
You
always
didn't have friends in high school?
I did, but I didn't go out. Like I've never went to a high school party. I never hung out with friends. Like I played team sports, but I just went home and played Xbox. That's all I wanted to do. Like I don't want to hanging out is not a thing I like doing. Like I occasionally like it's gotten better, like more frequent as I've gotten older and like been here in Toronto living.
Yeah.
But no, I'm happy to watch a movie with my mom or go play Xbox. I love alone time. I love alone time so much. Like right now I work at a vape store. I'm alone except for when customers come in. I love it.
I like my alone time a lot too, but I feel like it's not good.
It's just socializing is such a risk because like what if someone shows up who's not fun to be around and you gotta like spend like it's one of the things where it's like because my old roommate Rob he loved to bring people over to the apartment like after we did like a show or something, and there'd be like 15 fucking comedians in my apartment, and now I gotta listen to 15 fucking terrible comedians tell me how to do comedy.
Yeah.
You can ask a lot of comics if they've ever been on my rooftop, and they're like, yeah, Jacob told us to go fuck ourselves when we brought up comedy, because it's like you're in my house. I don't want you to lecture me, and it's like this whole social grace thing. It's like, no, I don't want to do it. Like you're at my apartment, please leave. Like Alan Jalali would come to my apartment all the time, and like Alan knows I don't like him. I'm like, get out of my apartment.
But isn't Alan generally like a very sweet person?
No. Maybe it's because he's extremely autistic. And he's also gotten better. Like, this is, like, Alan 2 years ago, a year ago. But, like, I don't like the guy. We have combative energy with each other. And he has no social cues. He's very autistic, so he doesn't understand that maybe being in my apartment is something that I don't want, and it's my home. Like, one time Matt brought him over with a few other people.
Who's Matt?
Matt Baxter.
Okay.
Yeah, so I lived with Matt and Rob originally, and I lived with Shane and Ben. But I remember one time Matt brought over like it was Izzy, Mo Sitta, and a couple other people, and I was just in the living room watching TV, and they came over and we were hanging out, and then Matt just went to bed. And then so I look around at the people I now have to hang out with because Matt brought them to my apartment, and I'm looking at them. I'm like, 4 out of these 5 guys are my friends, and I want them to stay. The 5th guy is Alan Jalali. And I don't want Alan in my apartment. I don't like Alan. I don't want to hang out with Alan. Alan was forced upon me by my roommate Matt, who's now in bed.
Yeah.
So I said, Alan, you can leave now. And he went, no. And I went, excuse me? I went, you can leave now. He goes, I don't want to leave. I said, you're in my house. I don't want you in my house. Please leave. And he went, Matt brought me here. And I said, Matt's in bed.
Okay, but like I get like the rule there, like Matt's gone, so now they're technically your company, but is it a little bit cruel to just like expect Alan to leave while everyone else stays?
If Alan and I have never gotten friendly on a friendly basis, I think it's crazy that he's staying in my apartment. Because it's like, what am I supposed to do? I now have to go to my room and not. I was watching Jersey Shore. And Matt brought people over. I think it's crazy for those people not to leave. But 4 of the 5 of them didn't have to leave.
Is everyone obsessed with Jersey Shore still?
No, it was just a thing that Matt and I watched. Because Matt had never watched it fully. So when we moved in together, I put on my Crave on the living room TV, and then we just started watching it.
Yeah, okay.
But Matt and I watched it for like 6 months, and then the day that we got to the last season, they removed it from Crave, so I still haven't seen the last season.
Okay.
But apparently it's dog shit. But no, I just thought it was crazy that Alan Jalali was like, no, I'm not going to leave your apartment. And why do I have to now entertain Alan Jalele, who I don't want to entertain?
Okay.
Like if you and I were roommates and I brought over 4 people that you liked and one dude you fucking hated, would you have and then I left, would you want to have to entertain that person?
I hear what you're saying. I just feel bad because I feel like Alan is just a very sweet kid.
He is, but he's very
kid.
combative, so he doesn't know how to like deal with confrontation.
Okay.
So like him and I, our entire friendship, friendship loosely, him the entire time we've known each other, it's been like, I don't like you, you don't like me. Like I've tried to be friendly with him, he's tried to be friendly with me. It's immediately like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And then Alan has an issue where it's like when it gets awkward, he just continues going with it. Like Alan showed up to a gig I had in Hamilton. I was doing levity. I was a feature act on the weekend, and he showed up to hang out and then sat in my green room. And the first thing he said to me was like, "Fuck you, fat ass." When I was like, Alan, I don't want you in my green room. He's like, "Fuck you, fat ass." And I was like, okay, Alan, now I have to kick you out because you're making.
But you started out by saying I don't want you in my green room.
Well, why would I want Alan in my green room? He's not on the show. I don't like this person. Why do I have to have them in my personal space?
Can I ask you another question, though?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Since Rob and Matt moved out, do you still have like your roommates bringing like a bunch of friends over, or is it
no?
More
Because
like
because Ben brings over people that I'm friends with, so it's like fine. And then Shane doesn't really bring people over, but no, it's just much better. It's because Rob love to have young comedians come over so he can brainwash them and make them think he's a great comic. And then it would be like 15 like of the it was literally the rejected Avengers. Like it was just it was a super group of mutant weirdos who were like, oh, Rob's friends with Louis J. Gomez, let's and then listen to him talk about he's a great crowd work comic. And then I'd have these idiots. Like also one of the reasons I generally don't like Alan is because one time Alan in the middle of the night climbed our rooftop and entered our apartment from our balcony and then went into our apartment at 3 o'clock in the morning when we were all in bed and then went through our front door and left the door unlocked. Uninvited. And then I asked him, I was like, why the fuck would you do that? He's like, well, because Rob told me to come over. And I was like, at what time? He's like, I don't know, 10:30. I go, you came over at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, why? And you climbed our gate was locked and you climbed and went into our apartment in the middle of the night. I was like, I don't like you, so I don't find that cool. And then also to add to the fact, if I was going to the bathroom and I saw you in my apartment at 3 o'clock in the morning, not only do I not like you, I said, I don't like you. That's more incentive for me to kill you. If I had murdered you, I would have gone, he attacked me in the middle of the night. Him and I have combative energy. So I killed him. He broke into my apartment in the middle of the night and we don't like each other. What am I supposed to assume? That he might have had a knife?
When I was in my 20s, there was like 4 of us girls renting a house together. And one of my roommates like brought a guy home from the bar, and the other roommate woke up, went into the bathroom, and there was just like a naked man she'd never met before, like in her bathroom. So it's a big panic attack for her. And then she instituted this rule that was like, if you have a boyfriend over or a man over and he is using the washroom, like he can't be naked in the house. Like everyone has a bathrobe. So give your bathrobe to your male guests. So then the same guy that the roommate brought home that night, he was like this French Canadian guy named Laurier. He just started like coming over to our house all the time, but he didn't get the bathrobe was just for him leaving at night to go to the bathroom. And he would just like hang out all day in the bathrobe. So this specific roommate, her bathrobe was like baby blue and had teddy bears on the back. So you just have this like random French Canadian guy rolling around my apartment in a teddy bear bathrobe.
So he was just his.
Yeah, that was his
That'd be so
attire at the girl's house.
That'd be so funny if he came over and he's like, it's wet, someone's used this. Have you had somebody else over? That's so funny. Izzy called me, young Izzy Loth, who's a 19-year-old comedian that I met when he was 17. And he called me last night at 2:30. He's like, can I ask you a favor? I'm fucking drunk and I can't drive back to Etobicoke. Can I stay on your couch? And I'm like, your parents live a block away from you. Go to your parents' house. And he's like, I can't. They're out of town. I was like, how do you not have a key to your own home?
Fuck.
And then so he came over at like 2:30. Everyone else was in bed. So I just texted the group chat. I was like, hey, just let you know Izzy's on the couch. Don't kill him. Because for Ben to wake up.
Yeah. And then.
Because we had a guy break in recently. So it's a bit of a scary thing. But yeah, there's not really a lot of that anymore. It's very calm in our apartment now. Very nice, relaxed.
No toxicity.
Well, Ben's a douchebag, so there's a little bit of that. No. just Ben's northern behavior. No.
What is northern behavior?
Well, it's a funny thing because Ben likes to act like he's this country boy. So he's like, yeah, in the country we smoke darts in the house, and it's like, I've been to your mother's house. You live in the suburb. Like, your mom has a really nice, clean, organized house. What is this like? Oh, I'm a country boy. And he's like, so I called him out on it, and he was like, yeah, no, my friends are dirtbags. So I was like, yeah, but you weren't raised. I was like, you were raised better. No, it's very nice. It's not like, there's not like a manic whack job just repeating, making lists. Rob would spend all day making a list of like comedians to book in Toronto and then like writing his set list, and he would write it like it'd be like 40 names and dates, and then he would take another notebook and then write it again, and then that's all he did all day long. It was just writing the same list in different books, and then he would go, I'm gonna clean, and then what he would do is he would take, because he was a hoarder, so he would take out, like, we have like a huge apartment. Like, we got very lucky, got a huge, massive apartment, tons of storage space, but Ben and I had to keep all of our shit in our room because every closet, every like area was filled with Rob's junk that he like collected.
Shit.
And like knickknacks and shit. So his idea of cleaning was that he would take everything out of the closets, look at everything he had, organize it, and then put it back in. Like, just play with it, put it back in. He goes, I'm cleaning. And he would do that all the time. So it would be like, you'd wake up, he'd be screaming and yelling at his girlfriend on the phone. And then he would go write a list, drink a nice coffee, and then eat some of my food because he couldn't afford food because he was stealing his living from us. And then he would make a list. And then if he felt like it, he would start a fight with me about something, and then call his girlfriend, and then his side girlfriend would come over. And then he would go out at night and then bring over 15 comedians, talk about how great of a comic he was, and then go to sleep, rinse and repeat. It was the craziest, most manic.
Did he always have a girlfriend and a side girlfriend?
Yes. He's had his side girlfriend that he currently took over her old apartment when we kicked him out. His side girlfriend, her and I were his first college interns. He's 38 and his side girlfriend was 21 when he met her. I was 21 too. And we're both his college interns for a festival.
Oh my God.
And then he had her with Laura, who was his girlfriend in New York. And then he was engaged to Laura in New York when he dated Gigi. And then he had her so he had 3 girlfriends at one point. And then he kept her with Gigi. And every time him and Gigi would fight, he would go hook up with her. Even though they didn't break up, they just had a fight. And then Gigi was gone. And then he would hook up with other girls while hooking up with her on the side. And then when he met Carly, he would have her on the side. And this entire time he had genital herpes and didn't disclose it to anybody. And then he would walk into the living room and brag to Ben and I about how he just cream pied a 21-year-old girl. And we both knew that he had genital herpes and was bragging about it.
Oh my God, that's so soul crushing.
What? He's cool. He's 38 and fucks chicks. How sick is that? All his friends have families. Isn't that so cool? Once you go above the age of like 29, it's no longer cool to brag about sleeping with girls.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Do you know how many girls younger than me, like even at 23, there'd be girls younger than me walking out my apartment and I would have to be like, not say anything.
I feel sad too about the amount of like emotional energy that younger women have wasted by these like old loser men.
It's crazy. If I was a hot girl, I would one, have an OnlyFans. Because you can make
How do you think your mother would feel?
a lot of these girls, it's their mother's idea.
Not their mother, your mother.
My mom's had my nudes sent to her before. I got blackmailed once, so my mom's had to like open her Instagram. There's a video of me jerking off.
Oh my God.
That's a funny story. That was the day I moved back. So I moved back when I was 22 after I like lost all my friends and stuff. And I was just drinking and doing a lot of drugs. So I was like, I'm going to move back to Montreal for a bit. And like the day I moved back, this girl that had been harassing me on Snapchat, like asking me for nudes, like if I wanted nudes. I just kept ignoring her. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, just disheveled. And then she was like, let's play a game called Tits for Dick. And I was like, oh, I love Tits for Dick. Tits for Dick is where a girl sends her tits and then you send dick in exchange. So she sent me a picture of her tits. And I had met this girl. This girl had followed me on Instagram and she was followed by 2 other comics. So I was like, oh, she went to like a comedy show or something. And then she like sent me a picture of her tits. And I was like, nice. So I sent her a picture of my dick, which I've done a million times before. It's just a dick pic. And then she goes, ooh, hot. Send me a photo of you in the mirror. And I was like, oh, no. No girl wants a photo of me naked in the mirror. And then I went, no. And then immediately Instagram, a group chat on Instagram called Jacob Silva Leaked Nudes. And it was like my second cousin, my sister, my aunts, my mom, my grandmother, and then like 3 female comedians. And it was like, here's Jacob Silva's dick, and they're like, send us $5,000 or we're gonna keep sending your nudes to people. And I was like, you want $5,000? You asked the wrong fucking guy. I am so broke right now. And then they kept telling me like PayPal or Venmo them, and I was like, I'm in Canada, I don't have Venmo. And it was originally a girl. Like I had made the girl like say my name and stuff, and then it ended up being 2 African guys. So I was like, what's going on here? Because I made the girl say my name. So I knew there was a girl working with them. So I went, okay, give me an e-transfer. I can e-transfer you money. And the reason I did that was because e-transfer is only Canadian.
Yeah.
So if they send me an e-transfer email that's linked to an account, that's someone whose like social security number is linked to that bank account. So I got the e-transfer and then I went, fuck you, I'm not giving you anything. And then they kept sending my news to people. So I went downstairs and told my mom, I was like, Mom, I need you to go to Nana's house. I need you to block someone on Instagram. And she was like, why? I was like, someone has my nudes and they're blackmailing me. And she went, oh, great. Here we go again. Because this wasn't the first time. No, the time before that, I was trolling some girl on like Instagram. And then she went apeshit, like this 40-year-old woman in LA. And she started.
Why were you trolling her?
Because I was a 20-year-old in the pandemic board.
And so you were just abusing this woman?
She commented something ridiculous on an Instagram post, like on like a comics page, and I went, you're a fucking idiot. And then she went apeshit and started DMing everyone in my life. Like just punched my last name in Instagram and started messaging everybody.
Did she have your nudes too?
No, that was just straight up like, hey, your son's a piece of shit, fuck him. But my mom had to go over to my grandmother's house and be like, yeah, I need to block somebody. And then my mom went, I'm telling them why. I'm not keeping a secret for you. It's disgusting. She went over and she was like panicking, yelling at, like, luckily my aunt from Calgary was there. My Aunt Allison, because my mom was like, my son's a pervert. He's fucking sending dick pics. And luckily my Aunt Allison was like, no. It's like a normal thing, like with younger people. Like they send nudes to each other. And then she was like, Kevin and I send each other nudes when we're away from each other, and my mom's telling me this, and I was like, I'd rather Nana watch me jerk off than have to know my aunt sending fucking nudes to my Uncle Kevin. It's but if she wasn't there,
someone does need to tell parents that it's part of normal young people culture, because I think especially it's seen as like that girls are doing this, but it's just the worst girls, and you can somehow like bully your teen daughters into not doing this.
No, it's so normal. It's actually. I remember when, like, the first I heard about nudes, I was in grade 7 or grade 8, and someone in grade 7 had sent nudes to one of my friends. I was like, whoa. And then I didn't get nudes from a girl until I was like 15. It was on Snapchat, though. It's like because Snapchat was a started when I started high school. And then it was like, it was crazy to see like in 3 years, because it was like the older kids were sending nudes to each other, like, okay. And then there was a girl, like, I was in grade 10, she was in grade 7, and she was sending nudes to like guys in grade 11,
Oh my god.
and it was like aggressive nudes, and I was like, it's so like she's 12, like that's,
Oh my god.
and she's sending nudes to all these guys. It was crazy to see how quickly it like became like normalized, because like I don't know, it was just gross too. It was so gross watching guys like who were like 17 hooking up with a 12-year-old. I always thought that was weird. Because in
That's
high school in Quebec is grade 7 to 11. So
what a weird group of people to put together.
it's honestly much better. We have something called stage up. So grade 12 split into 2 years, and you go to like a community college kind of, but you can study anything you want. And then if you do 1 year, it counts as grade 12. So I did 2 years out. Like I studied film, but I could also take ethics classes.
So is no one protecting like the younger girls from the older boys?
No, because like, what are the teachers supposed to do? Hey, I heard you're
But
saying.
like other girls, older
No,
boys
girls
who
are-
not scum.
No, girls are nasty to each other. So like the girls were probably mad that the 12-year-old was getting all the hot guys. But it was just wild. It was also wild.
Everything about young people is soul crushing and terrifying.
Grinding is such a disgusting thing to me. And we all used to like grind each other, and I like we'd be like, why are the teachers separating this? And then like as I'm like the age of like my teachers, I'm like, that's fucking disgusting to be in a gymnasium and watching 12-year-olds grinding on each other. No wonder they fucking used to hit us with meter sticks. I DM'd my history teacher like a year ago, and I was like, I am so sorry.
Did you really apologize?
I apologize. He was like, why? I was like, oh, well, I'm your age when you taught me. And I have like 16, 17-year-olds coming to my vape store and trying to buy vapes, and I want to fucking rip their heads off. I can't imagine working with them on a daily basis. He was like, you were a normal kid. I was like, I felt like I was a baby Hitler, but he was like, it's normal. I was like, I'm going to kill one of these teenagers.
We're getting to the end here. But I didn't even talk to you at all about your baby Hitler years.
My baby Hitlers in high school. I was always a mouthy kid, and so my parents put me in private school for high school, but they neglected the fact that the private school kids would just come to my private school. Sorry, the public school kids would just come to my private school at lunch and beat me up. So I used to get in a lot of trouble. I got in trouble like every single week. I would get suspended all the time up until like when my dad died. I used to get in trouble like every week. Just for saying shit, and it's like my teachers would be like, you're fucking disgusting, these comments you made, you did this, you did that. And then when I went back to my high school to visit my lacrosse coach, when I started doing comedy, and they were like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I'm in Toronto, I'm doing comedy, I'm like writing. They're like, oh, so you were just finding your voice, you were just finding your comedic tone. But yeah, no, it was a lot of like me just being like making weird sexual jokes, not even like about people, just making sexual jokes in general, just like making like a dick joke or a vagina joke in class, or saying offensive racist shit. It was always I remember I got in trouble once for like, I was doing Jew jokes to my best friend Josh, who was Jewish, and some other girl heard and got me in trouble. And it was like Josh would turn to me and go, tell me a funny Jew joke, and I would tell him, and then he would laugh and a few other people would laugh, and then this one girl would be like, I'm telling the principal, he's like, I'm telling the dean of discipline you made that joke. And it's like, I'm quoting South Park. And like it was requested by a Jewish person. So I got in trouble a lot like that. But it stopped when like grade 10 when my dad died.
Because you stopped getting in trouble?
No, they just stopped. They were like, his dad's dead, let's not suspend him for saying a fucked up joke.
So, but you're still doing all the same stuff.
Yeah, but it got funnier. I also got funnier. I at first I was just, it's like being an open micer. I was like trying to find my comedic tone. But it was funny because I was always like kind of woke-ish and never really liked dark comedy. Like I was a fan of like Norm and Louis, but I started off at like Second City in Chicago doing improv and being like a little woke kid. I used to be very woke, but also I would say racist shit. It was just like I never like liked like offensive comedy. Like I was a big fan of John Mulaney and stuff and Bo Burnham. But it was until like I got older I started doing more offensive comedy. But in high school, yeah, I was a little shithead. Never did like evil mean stuff. I never did drugs, never really drank. But I was more like just getting like class clown, pushing the limit. But that stopped when my dad died. I had enough going on.
How many years has it been since your dad passed?
9 years on Halloween. It hit 9 years, yeah. He died on Halloween. I always find that very funny. He picked that date too. That was the day he was like, I'm going to take my off my life support on Halloween. I was like, can you wait a day or do it a day earlier?
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Did he just have like a low quality of life?
So he was getting surgery for cancer, and while they were removing his esophagus, they nicked his spleen, and then he went into septic shock, and then it was like 4 months of like him dying, getting revived, bleeding out, like 17 surgeries. Like he died, like he coded like 3 times, lost a bunch of weight, lost a bunch of different organs and stuff. And then his cancer came back, and then he like died again, like got revived, and they were like the cancer had spread to every inch of his body. So it was like he couldn't breathe without a breathing tube. So he decided to remove it, and then died like within 15 minutes, I think.
What type of cancer was it?
Esophagus cancer. So people don't know this, but if you take a lot of like doctor prescribed anti-acid like medication, what happens is your body like from the medicine develops like a skin above your esophagus over time, and it creates like a little skin tag that stops acid from hitting up, like going into your throat and stuff, and creating heartburn. And what happens is that stomach acid will land on top and then sit there and pool, and that will create a tumor. So his tumor, like, he's slowly stop being able to eat and swallow food. So he went to the hospital, and they're like, you have stage 3 esophageal or stage 4 esophageal cancer. So he went on like the heaviest chemo you can get, and then went in for the surgery. It was supposed to be 6 days in the hospital. He ended up being like 3-4 months.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Were you with him for the last 15 minutes?
Yeah, it was funny because we all had a chance to say goodbye, and then we left the room for them to take out the breathing tube, but I was the last person to say goodbye to him, and I was like talking to him, and he went like the breathing tube. I don't know if it was just too much for him to handle, me saying goodbye to him, or if he just generally didn't want to be around. Like wanted to be alone with me. It was so funny. He was just like, I was like talking to him, like, I love you so much, and he was like, oh. But yeah, no, I held his hand. My sister was there, my mom, and one of my brothers. My other brother was in Vancouver. Yeah, it was fun times. Halloween. Didn't get any candy that year, so you
were 15.
15, yeah. It's a fun time for your dad to die. It's like you're not old enough that you like grew up with him, and you're not young enough where it doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
Like 15 is like the perfect age for you to be completely fucked up by it.
Do you ever think about like Mexican Halloween, like Dia de los Muertos? Like,
oh, it's my favorite. I like Halloween. Doesn't bother me. His anniversary doesn't bother me. He always loved Halloween. I always loved Halloween, so it's never really bothered me. I don't get upset on the day. This year I got pretty fucked up. I had last weekend was pretty rough for me. More for other stuff. My dog just died. So then
what was his name?
His name was Wayne. I'll show. He was a mini Bernedoodle.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, here.
If you send it to me, I can put it up.
I will send you the photo. But he's like a mini Bernedoodle, 7 years old. He was sick out of nowhere, never sick his entire life, like never like had one eye infection that lasted 2 days, and then he was lethargic for a month, and then my mom brought him in. He had cancer in his spleen.
What?
Yeah, and so we had to put him down like immediately, and I wasn't supposed to go home. I was supposed to go home for Thanksgiving, but then I got Marco Giorgio's show at Yuck Yucks, so I was like, oh, I'll come home the next weekend. And then Marco Giorgio decided to only promote the show 6 days before, and then canceled the gig. So there was no reason for me to be in Toronto, and I could have been home saying goodbye to my dog. Thanks, bro. There's a reason why I don't answer your DMs. He's been trying to book me for like a month now, and it's like, I don't want to talk to you. It's not his fault. You need someone to blame. It's very upsetting. I wish I got to say goodbye to him. It sucks. He was so healthy. He was my favorite. Like all the happiness in my life came from that dog.
Aww. Why did you call him Wayne?
We named him after Wayne Rooney, the soccer player.
Nice.
He played for my mom's a big soccer fan too, and our team, he's like our best player ever. He was leaving at the same time.
When you say our team,
Man United.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was born. My parents were both great soccer players. Well, my dad was all right. My dad, I think, played for McGill, and my mom played for John Abbott College in Montreal, and big soccer fans. They were fans of Manchester United, and our favorite player, the best player for our team, was leaving after like 13 years, and we thought if we named him Wayne Rooney and he got famous, like Wayne Rooney would stay at the club. But also Wayne's just a fun name.
Your mom sounds so cool.
My mom's the coolest person ever. My mom's also living with my mom is like living with Don Rickles. Like,
she's that funny.
I will never give her credit and say she's funny, but my mom will out of nowhere give you a line that will just ruin your soul. Like just take you down a peg.
Oh.
Like just like killer like roast lines. Yeah, she is very funny. My whole family, like my dad was a huge ball buster, hilarious guy. My grandfather, both my grandparents, like ball busty. My whole family's very ball busty.
Is that stressful?
No, it's fun. It's like we're gonna have like a good time and make fun of each other. Like there's no sensitivity in our family. Like we're not sensitive. Like there's no like, oh, this person's upset or insecure about this thing.
Are you ever like afraid to make a mistake?
No.
Because people are gonna bust your balls.
I feel like because of the way I've been, that if I make a mistake like on stage, I know I'm gonna get like my balls busted by other comics because I kind of deserve it. But it's honestly not a big deal. Like I love getting my balls busted. It's hilarious. Like if like Ben lives to make fun of me for being fat, and 9 out of 10 times it's like not good. And then like I just look at him and I go, really? And he goes, I'll get you with a go. And then sometimes Ben will get me with a line that's so funny. Like to me, there's like, you can't really get offended. Like I don't get offended at much. Like there's really nothing. Like I get offended on behalf of the art of comedy, but like there's no joke that's offensive. Like I had a cousin killed in a school shooting. You can make school shooting jokes if it's good.
Where did he live?
She was in Montreal. It was Concordia. Dawson. The Dawson shooting in 2006.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've slowly been sliding down this chair.
Sorry, that's the worst chair.
Oh, it's perfect. I was like, when you were like, can you come do my podcast? I was like, what chair do you have? I was like, I don't want to break your chair. But no, I didn't know my cousin very well. I just knew the family. It was like I was 6 when it happened. But yeah, you can make school shooting. There's nothing you can make fun of. Like Ben loves to make fun of my dead dad. It's hilarious.
Dear God.
It's fun.
So
like,
it's less toxic at your house, but still toxic.
It's fun. It's honestly, it's nice. It's you got to be able to make like Shane has a real, like we're trying to break Shane down right now.
Oh my God.
Cause Shane gets angry like so fucking easy. Like last night we went to Dan Soder and I got us all tickets, and he like got there and I was like, look at Shane, he's out of the house. And I was like, hey buddy, you excited for your fun night out? And then he was like, stop talking to me like I'm your little brother. I'm going to punch you in the fucking face. Ben and I turned to each other, we're like, Jesus Christ. And then it's like, we're just trying to, because he gets so angry and it's like, dude, this is what living with comedians like we're always on each other.
I feel sorry for Shane.
No, he's got to learn to roll the punches and like give it back. Cause like we bust Shane's balls, but we're waiting for him to like get us back, and then he just gets angry, and it's like, no, you're supposed to call me.
He's gonna get you back by like attacking one of you.
He's gonna, yeah.
Some people aren't built for it. You have to leave them alone.
No, not in our apartment. We're a content house. Content house with no podcast. No, he's nice though. He's a nice guy. He's funny.
Yeah,
it's just
I like Shane. I like talking to him.
It's just like, call me a fat fuck, call Ben a big nose douche. Like, it's not hard, man.
Okay, I gotta wrap this up. I feel like we could go forever, but
yeah, you gotta start doing Rogan style. You gotta have like autistic comedians on, and do like 3-hour conversations. Just let them ramble. I listened to like 3 seconds of Justin Bishop. I had to turn it off. It was so funny.
You like Justin Bishop?
I love Justin. Justin works at the vape store with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like so funny because Justin's like this autistic black nerd, but then also
Not autistic.
we're all autistic and we're all on it's a spectrum. But Justin's like this autistic black nerd who loves like what's it called, anime.
Yeah.
So he's like a really nerdy, cool, like fun guy like that. But then also he grew up in Scarborough. So when you went, you might know Justin from the Dark Matter podcast, and he was like, he's the host of the Dark Matter podcast. Justin goes, "I'm not the host. Denzel's the host." And then it was just like awkward. It was like, you just said the name of your podcast, dude. It was like, he doesn't mean anything by it. It was just so funny. If you know Justin, it was hilarious to hear. I'm not the host. It was fun though. Your clips are good.
I've had really good experience with anime kids and like sci-fi fantasy fans in general. I think have been really fun on my show.
It's a good niche. It'd be good. Yeah, but I don't watch any of it.
That's cool. I will have you back on just to like gossip. This has been amazing.
This is fun. I thought I was not gonna have fun. This was fun.
Okay, sweet. This has been Jacob Silva on the Karen Mitches podcast. Oh, and what are you on socials?
At the Notorious Big Jake, Wednesdays at Yuck Yucks.
Nice.
At the Notorious Big Jake.